A new film which depicts key figures in the trial that changed South Africa opens in cinemas this weekend. An Act of Defiance, the Bram Fischer story, is an historical drama based on the Rivonia trialists and their legal team. Anti-apartheid icon and lawyer Bram Fischer defended former President Nelson Mandela, Walter Sisulu, Ahmad Kathrada and other anti-apartheid activists. Let's take a sneak peek.
Gentlemen, the time for talking is over. The only path to change is through the bullet and the bomb.
Police! 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 That would be good! Okay. Wittes by wittes, kappers by kappers.
Ras het nie gisterand huis toe gekom nie. Bob hasn't come home either.
Hierdie manne was besig om die grondslag te lê vir 'n gewapende revolusie.
Waar is my man?
Lees môre se koerant.
Jy sal 'n goeie advokaat nodig hê. Die beste.
Nelson, I should warn you, you're all in it together. If one jumps, you all fall.
Hang.
Don't take this case.
I'm trying to save your life, Nelson.
I am trying to save yours, Bram.
Stand in the off. All rise in court.
What have these men done that is so wrong?
Now joining us in studio to tell us more about the movie itself is producer Michael Orrit and actor Sello Motlong, who stars as former President Nelson Mandela. I think you just saw him in that clip as well. Gentlemen, thank you so much for coming into the studio. Michael, can I start with you? Why this particular subject matter? Why make a movie about Bram Fischer?
Basically, it's obviously a very high-stakes drama, thriller, actually, because the stakes were the future of South Africa. So if you try to imagine South Africa without Nelson Mandela and all of those Rivonia trialists, that was what was at stake, because they were facing either the death penalty or life. And this story about a lawyer who takes on that role to defend them, but at the same time is the Secretary General of the Communist Party, and so has to play a kind of cloak and dagger behind-the-scenes role, trying to dodge the police so that the defense wouldn't be compromised. And it's really a story about an Afrikaner who turned against his own community, even though he was the head of the Bar Association, was a very highly esteemed lawyer, and he could have done anything with his life, but he chose to sacrifice himself to defend the trialists and to help with others in what we have today.
Yeah, very true. Sello, when you look at Bram Fischer, his story as well, I think the fact that he was also, he could have been one of the accused, because he could have been also arrested with the trialists at that particular point in time, which made it even more riskier for him you know, to accept this case as well. What do you think this teaches us in terms of what Bram Fischer did at that point?
I think the lesson there is that you should always stick to what you believe. You know, like Fischer, he, like Michael said, he's a man who had a choice to either go with continuing with his life, because he was a lawyer, he had a good future ahead of him, but he knew that the cause was far more important.
Yeah.
And he went with it. He sacrificed a lot. And I believe that these are the kind of people that we should embrace. These are the stories that needs to be told.
Yeah.
And we need to learn about our history from all angles. And it's a good thing that this story is from Bram Fischer's angle. I think we've seen a number of movies based on Madiba.
Yeah.
And in this case, we're seeing it from a different angle.
How was it for you playing Madiba?
It was nerve-wracking, because I knew that there are other actors who've done it before, even South African actors. I'm not the first one. But it was nerve-wracking for me, but also quite interesting, because I'm playing Madiba before we knew him. You know, before 1990, I'm playing the young man who we are told that he was like a wildcat. And he came out like a, you know, a teddy bear, a granddad who embraced everyone. But he was a man who, the young man who went to prison, went for a different cause.
Yeah.
You know, and he had a vision. And
we're seeing his vision. We're living in that in that vision right now. Now, Michael, tell us about the film. Where'd you get the funding for this movie? And also in 2017, I mean, I'm looking at the list of some of the accolades and the awards you've won for this particular movie. Why did it take you so long to get it into South African screens?
So the funding is both from South Africa and from the Netherlands. So we have a Dutch-South African co-production. So there was some money from there, the directors from there. And in terms of the length of time, we normally let films play in the festival circuit, win awards, win accolades, as you say, to build up the momentum. And then it's also about finding the right spot for it. So, you know, we had to anchor this film onto something that was meaningful, and Freedom Day was that. And we've had, obviously, previous days when we could have done this, but we also didn't want it to be up against, you know, other films, so you always have to program it to give it the right space.
Yep.
Yeah.
And Silo, this movie goes out throughout South Africa. All cinemas released today.
Selected cinemas.
Selected cinemas.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nationwide.
You had a special viewing last night?
Yes.
Okay, tell us about that.
It was interesting. We had it at Kilani Mall. And
the Ahmad Kathrada Foundation?
Ahmad Kathrada Foundation. They were the host. And it was interesting. You know, we had people like Ntate Ronnie Casserols, Me Barbara Masekela, and a number of people who were living in the 50s at the height of apartheid and oppression.
Did they enjoy it?
We had 99.9% positive feedback.
Wow.
Am I correct, Michael?
Yeah, and you know, everyone, Andrew Mangeni, who was one of the trialists, has watched it at a previous screening. Ilse Fischer, Bram Fischer's daughter, is there. And what's really gratifying is that people who were there at the time and who are related really enjoyed it and really were amazed by the authenticity of the film in terms of the period.
Okay, fantastic stuff. The movie's out in selected cinemas throughout the country at the present moment. So, guys, please go out and watch it. Support this movie as well. It's called An Act of Defiance, the Bram Fischer story. Producer, Michael Orrit, thank you so much. And also actor, Silo Mutlung, thank you so much. Good to see you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Fantastic. Good luck with that, the movie. Now, coming up on...